Most people who look rich are actually broke, and the people who are actually rich are invisible. We are currently living through a mass delusion where the middle class is financing the appearance of wealth by destroying the actual mechanism of wealth. Today, we're dissecting the Veblen Paradox, the psychological glitch that makes you want things more just because they cost too much. You think you're making a rational purchase, but after we perform a forensic autopsy on your spending, you'll realize you are paying a conformity tax that is keeping you permanently stuck on the financial treadmill. By the end of this video, you'll understand the invisible equations of status and how to opt out of the signal game to build an empire no one sees coming. My name is Stick, and I expose the financial crimes you're committing against yourself, the wealth transfers hiding in every purchase, the lies you've been sold about looking successful. If you're tired of funding your own financial prison, like this video, subscribe, and let's break it down. Now, before we run the numbers, let me show you the trap you've been living in. Imagine walking into a store and seeing two white t-shirts. They are made of the exact same cotton, stitched in the same factory, and serve the exact same function. One is $10. The other has a small logo on the chest and costs $500. Standard economics says the rational human buys the $10 shirt and laughs at the $500 one. But we know that's not what happens. The $500 shirt sells out instantly. This is the $500 t-shirt glitch. Our brains are mathematically illiterate regarding logos because for certain goods, the price is the feature. If that brand lowered its price to $20, the demand would actually disappear because the value isn't in the cotton, it's in the exclusion. This is the economic principle that breaks every textbook model of rational consumer behavior. Traditional supply and demand curves don't work here. We're operating in what economists call Veblen goods territory, where higher prices create higher demand, because the entire point of the purchase is to prove you can afford something most people cannot. Think about what's actually happening in your brain when you see that logo. You're not evaluating thread count or durability or comfort. You're running a rapid-fire social calculation. Who else has this? What does owning this say about me? Will people notice? What story does this tell about my success? Your prefrontal cortex, the rational part, isn't even invited to the meeting. This is your limbic system, your primate brain, making purchasing decisions based on tribal hierarchy and social positioning that was useful when we lived in groups of 150 people, but is financial suicide in modern capitalism. Marketing departments understand your primate brain better than you do. They have neuroscientists on staff studying your dopamine receptors. They know exactly which psychological buttons to press. They know that for certain goods, the price is the feature. When a luxury brand raises its prices, demand actually goes up because the barrier to entry becomes more exclusive. They're not selling you a product, they're selling you membership to an imaginary club, and you paid real money for a fake identity. Here's the sick part, you never actually get into the club. You just paid the entry fee to stand outside the velvet rope with everyone else who paid the same entry fee. But here's the tragedy, when you buy that $10,000 bag to signal status, you aren't joining the rich class. You are taking the exact action, overspending on a depreciating asset that ensures you stay in the working class. The truly wealthy aren't impressed by your bag because they know the game. They know you probably financed it. They know it represents months of your salary. They can smell the desperation of someone trying to buy their way into a class they don't understand. You are essentially paying a surcharge on your existence just to prove you have high status, which Thorstein Veblen called conspicuous consumption. You're saying, I have so much money I can afford to set fire to this pile and still survive. But the reality is, you can't afford it. And you're not surviving. You're drowning in installment payments and calling it success. This leads us to a concept called pecuniary emulation, and this is where the real damage happens. This is the biological drive to mimic the spending of the 1%. We see celebrities and billionaires living certain lifestyles, and something ancient in our brain says, that's what success looks like. I need to copy that pattern. But here's the math that will break your heart. When a billionaire buys a $300,000 car, it is a rounding error in their net worth. It doesn't affect their ability to compound wealth. If you have $1 billion and you spend $300,000 on a car, you've spent 0.03% of your wealth. That's like someone with $100,000 in net worth spending $30. It's nothing. It doesn't touch their compounding machine. But when the middle class mimics that behavior with a $70,000 car and they have a net worth of $50,000, they just spent 140% of their entire wealth on a depreciating asset. They finance the appearance of wealth by destroying the actual mechanism of wealth. You trade your compounding assets, your 401k contributions, and your future freedom for depreciating liabilities just to send a signal to strangers who don't even like you. You're bleeding out financially while taking a selfie with the weapon. Let me give you a thought experiment that will reveal whether you're caught in this trap. Ask yourself, if you were the last person on Earth, would you still want that watch? Would you still need those designer shoes? Would you care about that luxury car if there was nobody around to see you driving it? If the answer is no, then you aren't buying a tool. You're buying a signal, and you're sacrificing your sovereignty to pay for it. You've outsourced your self-worth to the opinions of people who are also trapped in the same delusion, and you're all collectively agreeing to pretend that these symbols mean something while your bank accounts tell a different story. Here's what most people don't realize. The goalpost is designed to move. This is the goalpost problem, and it's the most insidious part of the entire system. The luxury goods industry has engineered a treadmill that speeds up the moment you think you're catching up. As soon as the middle class stretches their budget to buy the entry-level luxury item, the Louis Vuitton bag or the least expensive BMW, the elites move on. They have to. Because the entire value proposition was exclusivity, and if everyone has it, it's no longer exclusive. The logo that used to signal wealth becomes tacky once everyone has it. The brand that was aspirational 5 years ago is now available at the outlet mall, and suddenly the rich have pivoted to something you've never heard of. So the elites switch to quiet luxury or stealth wealth, wearing $500 cashmere baseball caps with no logos, carrying $3,000 bags that look like they came from a thrift store, driving cars you wouldn't notice. They changed the rules of the game right when you finally learned how to play the old game. You are running a race against people who have infinite stamina while you are sprinting on a broken ankle. And here's the part that should make you angry. The race has no finish line. There is no point at which you arrive by buying enough stuff. You are committing accounting fraud against yourself by pretending that these investments in your image have any ROI other than debt. Show me the spreadsheet where the Gucci belt pays dividends. Show me the balance sheet where the luxury sedan appreciates in value. You can't because you're operating in the realm of fantasy accounting, where purchases that make you poorer are classified as investments in yourself. We also have to talk about the debt-funded identity, or what I call the Instagram lifestyle, because this is where the mass delusion reaches its peak. We are living through a carefully curated lie financed by credit cards, and social media is the propaganda arm. How many of those vacation photos from Tulum are actually funded by 22% interest debt? How many of those restaurant check-ins represent meals that cost more than the person's daily wage? The entire platform has become a theater of false prosperity, where everyone is the actor and the audience simultaneously, and nobody wants to be the first one to admit they can't afford the ticket price. You take a picture of the new car smell and post it, but that smell is actually the scent of your retirement going up in smoke. Let me show you the real math that the dopamine hit of likes is hiding from you. The average car payment is now over $700 per month, and that number is climbing every year. Now, let's run the compound interest calculation that your brain doesn't want to do. $700 invested monthly at 8% average annual return would become $2.7 million over a 40-year career. You aren't driving a luxury SUV. You are driving your ability to retire 10 years early. You are trading a decade of freedom for the privilege of sitting in traffic in a vehicle that loses 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. But it gets worse, because it's not just the car. It's the rent or mortgage in the expensive neighborhood so you can have the right address. It's the wardrobe because you need to look the part at your job. It's the brunch and the happy hours, because that's what your peer group does. It's the gym membership at the trendy place, instead of the $10 a month option. Every single decision is infected with this need to maintain the image, and each one is a small cut that collectively bleeds you dry. You have become a prisoner of your own lifestyle, trapped in golden handcuffs where you have to tolerate a toxic boss, accept disrespect, swallow your pride, and compromise your values just to pay for the things you bought to tolerate the job in the first place. You built yourself a beautiful cage and you're calling it freedom. The math is brutal when you actually sit down and calculate it. If you're spending $3,000 per month on status maintenance, the car, the clothes, the apartment upgrade, the social obligations, that's $36,000 per year. Over 30 years at 8% return, that's $4.4 million you just burned to maintain an image. You traded the ability to tell your boss to go to hell for the ability to post vacation photos that make your high school classmates think you're doing well. You chose the appearance of success over the reality of freedom. So how do we break the spell? It requires the act of rebellion, and I'm going to be honest with you. This is uncomfortable. This goes against every marketing message you've absorbed since childhood. This requires you to become psychologically bulletproof against the social pressure that has been algorithmically optimized to separate you from your money. You need to implement a stealth wealth operating system, and it starts with a fundamental mental shift. You have to divorce your ego from your income and refuse to act your wage. This is the hardest part, because we've been programmed since childhood to demonstrate our worth through consumption. You got good grades, so your parents bought you something. You got the promotion, so you deserve to upgrade your lifestyle. Every achievement has been paired with a purchase, and now your brain thinks that's how you validate success. You need to break that neural pathway and rebuild it. The true flex in 2026 isn't the BMW in the driveway. It's the ability to lose your job and not panic for 2 years. It's having what financial independence advocates call FU money, the runway to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you. It's the crossover point where your investment income finally beats your day job, and suddenly you're working because you want to, not because you have to. That's power. That's freedom. The logo on your chest is neither. To implement stealth wealth, you must artificially induce scarcity in your life. And this requires tactical automation because you cannot trust your future self to make the right decision when temptation arrives. When you get a raise, hide it. Pretend it didn't happen. This is crucial. Do not let your lifestyle inflate with your income. Use a lifestyle anchor. Pick an income level that covers your needs and brings you genuine satisfaction, then lock it in. Every dollar above that line goes to building your freedom fund. Direct at least 50% of every raise straight into an S&P 500 index fund before it ever hits your checking account. Automate this. Make it impossible to access without jumping through hoops. If you don't see it, you won't spend it. This is using your own psychology against itself in a productive way. The same brain that wants the status symbol is the same brain that forgets about money it never sees. Use that glitch to your advantage. Move from being a financial sleepwalker, someone who lets their money happen to them, to the CEO of your life, someone who makes intentional decisions about resource allocation based on actual priorities rather than social pressure. While your neighbors are busy curating their museum of status symbols, paying for climate-controlled storage units to hold the overflow of their consumption, you are quietly building a liquid empire. You're buying assets that generate cash flow. You're building a portfolio that compounds while you sleep. You're constructing the infrastructure of freedom while everyone else is financing their own imprisonment. Here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Wealth isn't what you see. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased and the first-class upgrades declined. It is the peace of mind in your eyes rather than the watch on your wrist. It's the absence of financial anxiety. It's sleeping well because you know you have options. It's the calm that comes from knowing that no material possession owns you, no payment owns you, no lifestyle owns you. You can either look wealthy or be wealthy, but for most people, you can't do both. The math doesn't work. The people who look the richest are often the closest to broke, and the people who are actually wealthy are invisible because they're not playing the signaling game. They already won. They don't need your validation. So here's my challenge to you. Run your own forensic audit. Pull up your last 3 months of transactions and highlight everything you bought primarily to signal status to others. Be honest, add it up. Now multiply by 12 for the annual cost. Now compound that at 8% over your remaining working year. That's your freedom number. That's what the signaling game is actually costing you. Is it worth it? Like this video and subscribe to join the 1% who value compounding over consumption. Don't be a slave to your status, be the master of your money. I'll see you in the next audit.